Welcome to another edition of Ozarks Voices, the oral history series. My name is Tom Peters. I'm the Dean of Library Services at Missouri State University. Today's date is Monday, November 21st, 2016, and our guest today is Jerry White, who is the owner of White Hall Mercantile in Halltown, Missouri. Jerry, welcome.
We've been here for 30 years.
30 years?
Well, 31.
Close enough to 31, round up to 31. And you're planning to close down pretty soon.
Christmas.
I think Christmas is going to be it.
My daughter said, "This is your last year." I said, "Yes, General. Anything you say." Because you better do what your daughter tells you to do.
Yeah. I do what my daughters tell me. So I'll start with a tough question. Where and when were you born?
I was born in the house I live in July the 26th, 1933.
Okay.
And my mother said I helped remodel it the year before I was born, but I don't remember that at all.
And where's your house?
2.5 miles southeast of Halltown.
Okay, 2.5 miles southeast, so pretty close to the interstate.
It's on the other side of the interstate, and it's a half a mile inside Lawrence County.
Okay.
So we've got land in both Greene and Lawrence County, but the original farm was
Lawrence County. Okay.
And didn't have a road past the house. We had to build a road.
So 1933, Great Depression.
Yep.
What are your memories of growing up as a child in extreme
Having
eastern?
nothing.
Yeah.
Working like a dog. I think I've learned to walk 5 times. I learned to walk at 9 months. I got sick and had to learn to walk again at a year. Then I was paralyzed when I was 9 from my waist down because of sickness. And the doctor said, well, he might be able to walk with crutches. And they used what we now know as Sister Kenny treatment of massage and extra virgin olive oil, because he said he can't feel anything in his legs. And so mother was French and Choctaw Indian, so she was wild. What do we do? And he said, well, you've got to use olive oil on it because you'll tear his hide off and he'll never feel anything. The doctor was out of Republic, Dr. Mitchell. And so he basically did everything that Sister Kenny did except the heat packs. Sister Kenny had a washing machine with heat packs in it.
That did the trick?
Huh?
That did the trick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Over months and months and months. And
Yeah.
of course I was sick all the time. My mother, and my aunt and my dad all took care of me. You can realize they didn't have any more children for me.
So you're 83 now?
Yes.
Okay. Your birthday coming up?
No, it's already passed in July the 26th.
Oh, that's right.
So we're on the 84.
Yeah.
As a kid, you would say 83 plus so many months.
Right. You stopped doing that a few years ago?
The lady at the election thing says, what's your address? And I said, it's been for 83 years. And she said, well, you don't look 83. And I said, no, I look 87, but I'm only 83. I don't think she intended that. But
yeah. So your mercantile here is right on Route 66.
And we started Route 66 Association. Oh, I didn't give you a card. But we started the Route 66 Association 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had 25 people at the first meeting.
Yeah.
It was all because of my wife, not me.
Thelma was the guiding force behind.
She was the guiding force. She was interested in history. I was not. I've had to learn history because of people coming in asking all kinds of questions. She was a librarian. She was a nurse. She was a speech English teacher. Smart.
Yeah.
Student. Me, not me.
Yeah.
I just It took me 40 years to get through college. They only gave me 3 degrees. That was not nice. They should have given me more degrees in 40 years.
Do you have a doctorate?
Yes, in psychology.
Psychology? From?
Well, I was psychology and I'm sociology. I'm psychiatric examiner. I have 7 lifetime teaching certificates. I've attended 7 universities and 7 colleges. Work during the day, go to school at night.
So you're a perpetual student.
I kept changing majors. I started at MU, took curriculum coordination because I was highly interested in what a child needed to know. There wasn't any jobs available. The doctor, he said, you can do anything you want to do because you taught small school, middle-sized schools, large schools. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had too many interests. And I would score high on 5 different areas. It doesn't help you to take any tests.
Yeah.
My grandson had the same problem.
Yeah.
He was so disappointed because people wouldn't tell him what to do. And I said, you scored high 5. And he said, how'd you know? I said, I did too.
That's a blessing. You can do just about anything.
I don't know. I served as a guidance counselor. I was a psychometric examiner. I did all this stuff. And a kid that scored high in a lot of areas, he had trouble. And I've had some real good students. And they would work on 3 or 4 different areas. So when they went to SMS, well, they said, what's your choice? And he said, there are 4. But they didn't want 4. So I said, okay, Robert, do you have a quarter? Flip this. We named 2 majors, flip, heads, 1. The other 2, that's how he entered.
They get down to the finals, the final 2, and then flip it again. And
so I took the test up to the lady at the admissions office, and she said, I've never seen his score this high. And I said, well, he'd have done better, but he didn't like science. But he went on and, did good things. And Jim Bohannon was one of my debate students, and we went to SMS, and he's on KWTO radio or everything. Sounds just like he did when he was a kid.
yeah. Did you listen to the radio when you were a child? Did you listen to the radio when you were a child? Did you have a radio in the house?
As much as we could, because we had a battery radio.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have electricity until I was 15. And I left for college when I was 16.
Uh-huh.
So we had to go with Kohler lamps.
Remember when you listened to the radio, what station did you listen to?
Well, KWTO.
Yeah. You remember anything? Do you have any favorite shows?
Oh, no. My favorite show was my dad was always running me out to milk cows. I started milking when I was 4.
Wow.
And milked until I was 16.
Yeah.
I said, I'm finished.
You don't want to become a farmer.
Well, not that kind of farmer.
Milk cows?
We still have the farm. We have cows, but I crossbreed black white-faced Hereford bulls with longhorn cows. I'm improving the weight 100%. I'm improving the color 60%. And longhorn cows are cheaper and last longer. Did you know that?
No.
I've got cows that are 30 years old still having calves.
Wow.
And I won't buy one until they're 3 to 5 years old because they've proven themselves that they can have calves.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady said, are you having trouble calving? I said, no, I did have it. Because she grunted and jumped up and the calf was still half hung in. And she went in circles and couldn't find the calf. So I drove her up to the barn and she sucked the calf up in and I put the chain on and jerked out. But I can't do that anymore. I'm getting too old. So I make very sure that I don't have the bull calf. The depend on the nephews and, all those deals were.
Right. Any other memories from childhood? So coal oil lamps, battery powered radio.
We had a 12-volt battery sitting out on the porch with the wire running into the battery, to the radio.
Did you ever come into town?
We would come down here, and because this was the grocery store and the feed store. The feed store was built on in 1926, and we had 3 grocery stores, I think, in town. And we had probably 5 or 6 service stations, because this was a stop for Route 66.
Yeah.
And one of my friends over north said that we had 12 service stations. I said, no, we didn't. We didn't have 12 buildings. And he was counting way up east and way west. Halltown just has this little bitty space.
How many people in Halltown back then?
Over 200. We're down to 173, I think, now, but we still have 200 dogs. We have Otis, who's one of the traffic cops. He walks across the road real slow and slows up the traffic. We used to have 2 little chihuahuas, and they'd get out on the middle line, and I call them my police dogs. They evidently got run over or something.
They're no longer around.
They're no longer here.
So when you came into town, did you come in on 66? Or come up from the south?
We came up from the south. And we had to build the road, and we're 1/4 of a mile, half a mile, into the next voting district. So we have to go to Chesapeake to vote. And so they always paid for me to come to school there, pay tuition. And then when I was in 3rd grade, somebody burnt down the school because of politics arguments. And I had to go to Republic, 4th grade. And had a first-year teacher who taught us some things that we had never been taught before. But then it reversed and caused me trouble because I learned habits that were detrimental to me, because she said that we'd had enough time to do the lesson, which I was doing exactly what she told me. I knew Jean wasn't. I knew Clara wasn't. And she said, we're going to have a test. Well, the first half of the test, I had studied. And when it says, look on the map, I did. And she said, you've had plenty of time. Everybody else is finished now. So the first half of the test, I didn't miss any questions. Second half of the test, you guess and you get 25% right. So 75 was not an acceptable score for me. 90 is my score. And if I don't get 90, then I'm concerned. And I still work on that 10% error factor. And I thought, oh, gal, I can read faster. I can get through quicker than anybody else. In a bad habit. My wife had to clobber me so often because she was a student. She studied hard. I played ping pong. But she took care of me for 57 years.
So where did you meet?
We met at college.
Over in Joplin?
She said she saw me when I was 16 up here because I was passing out soft drinks to 35 college students, and one redhead among all that didn't make any difference to me. But when I got to college, well, she'd been there a year, and she had gone to school in Cincinnati, Ohio, and so she was the valedictorian. She was a student. She was, everything. Nurse. And so we got together, and I said, let's go to the library and study. She'd had all the classes I was going to have to take. She had all the books. I didn't have to buy the books. I thought it was wise.
Yeah. And you were married 57 years.
Well, we were married 60 years, but
60.
57, she took care of me, and then she had a stroke, and I had to do the last 3. And we set that store up for her, because she was teaching at Walnut Grove.
Okay.
And I rented this building 31 years ago, and she took care of it on weekends and in the summertime. She took 24 years, but she had to have surgery on Christmas. She couldn't sign for the last year. So she had to sit in here without an income for a year. She told me, she said, I'm broke. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, I don't have any money. But she always had her money and I had my money and we had our money. I said, well, we're just selling the cow.
So you started this in 85? And when was Route 66 was decommissioned about?
26.
Yeah. It was commissioned in 26. When was it decommissioned? 85? 80?
Somewhere along in there, because she dealt with all of the people in Jefferson City and everything. And my daughter put this in the book and added the picture in the back of our store, which made, because that's what it looked like then.
Back in 85?
Yeah. So
I can get that on
the whole front of this building was loose, and the wind was blowing at 24 inches, and the boys went up there to put stuff on. They said, Dad, we can't get it. And he said, I'll go to Springfield. And they put a turnbuckle up there, tied it into the building, and then the boys went up and put the metal on it, which is what it looks like now.
What was your idea that you'd operate a mercantile like this and sell?
Well, the university always moved me around. They would never leave me in a school more than 3 years. Because I kept going to school and I kept getting more education, more training. I was in Hickman Mills in Kansas City. And I think I was the youngest one on the faculty. But I had a lot of education, which was 1962, Cuba Missile Crisis. They taught me how to decontaminate atomic waste on food. My job was to teach the community. I don't know how I got into it, but anyway. And that was they were already doing it, and they were trying to get a new building built. And I was on that committee because I was the representative of my building. And I told them, I said, you have tried 6 times and you failed 6 times. You're lying to these people. You're telling them if they don't pass this, you're going to do something, and you haven't done a thing. And I told the assistant superintendent, I said, I don't know who's in charge of the central office, but you're the one that I always have to deal with. So they came up with a new program. To build 1/3 of the school with a levy, not a tax, not a bond issue, which I had studied at MU, and they passed it as I left. It was my 3rd year, and the university came in and said, I want you to have a job as an assistant superintendent. I said, where? For sales, Lake Ozarks. You better help me. Okay, I'll go up there to buy one. So I went up to Versailles, Every 3 years, just move.
Got tired of it?
I got tired of it. And of course I got hit by the truck on I-70. And I had to have surgeries. And so I was trying to run a school in a wheelchair, and that didn't work too good. And so I said, well, we'll just go back to the farm. And she got a job at Walnut Grove, and I ran cattle, beef cattle, and I was still with my doctors in Columbia and so on. And the doctor said, well, you're in much better shape than you were the last time I saw you. I said, I bought a motorcycle. I knew he hated motorcycles. He'd come into my room at 3 o'clock in the morning, lay in the chair, and talk to me. I'm going, don't you have a place to go home? Why are you in there bothering me? I was a school administrator, so he knew he could talk to me. And I said, well, let me explain. The neighbor's cattle are coming over on my grass, and I can't drag this leg. So I just came in. My wife said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Springfield by a motorcycle. I ran those cotton-picking cows until their tongues were hanging out, and they didn't come back. So I think I convinced him. I don't know if I did or not. But he hated motorcycles because everybody was always wrecking them, going too fast, turning corners. I drove my teeth through my face several times on the windshield. But my daughter said last year I had to get rid of my BMW, so I had to sell it.
So when you started this, what kind of traffic did you have coming down the highway?
Tremendous. The little girl that came in here and interviewed me the other day, she said everything is improving. I said, oh no, it's not. When they bombed 9/11 New York City, we lost 76% of our business in one day.
Yeah.
We were having 3 clerks in here writing tickets. Now one person can do it. And I said, the people in Springfield are telling you a different story than I tell you. Because they're saying they're getting more. Well, they probably are getting more in Springfield, but not us. And as I said, we had 45 different foreign countries last year, and we had 40 different states last year. Didn't have anybody from Alaska last year. Had them from Hawaii. And we miss a few states. I had Rhode Island the other day, so that's probably a state that you miss a lot. So, in the last 10 years, people are buying different things. They don't buy what they used to buy. And we still sell, a goodly amount, but nothing to write home about. The owner of this building died in January of this year, and he didn't have a will, and he didn't have a trust or anything. So the probate has taken over. And I don't understand probate. I'm not a lawyer. But we have paid rent on this building for 30 years or 31 years every month. So my mind says the judge could keep me out for 30 days. Was that the pattern? So I started paying by the quarter. So I'm paid up till the end of December. My insurance is paid up to the end of December. The only thing I've got to do is go to Springfield to make my sales tax, make sure that they cover it. So we've already hauled out, I think, 7 truckloads out of here to sell at auction and so on. I was supposed to meet with the auctioneer yesterday, and I had to call him and said, I'm sorry, they're taking me to the hospital. Forget it. But,
so that's what you plan to do, is sell most of it at auction?
Well, I said you've got 3 ways to do it. You can sell it, burn it, or give it away. Makes no difference to me. I don't care. The upstairs was full when I could go up there. My daughter won't let me go upstairs anymore because she's afraid of fire. She won't let me hang anything on the walls because she's afraid of fire. And I had friends that went upstairs, and I think they brought 200 picture frames down there. And Charlie says there's still some frames up there with no pictures in them. I haven't been up there, so I don't know. And we've had people buying because, if we discount the price, they buy more. I've got all of these paintings by Bill Cornell. I bought 99 of his paintings when he died in Miller. That's one of them right there with the Mill Stream.
Yeah.
And he came out of a house in Mexico. There was a kid here, and he painted here. Then he went down there and came back and painted. Blended everything with his thumb. It's the dirtiest thumb I ever saw in my life. And I bought 99 and I've only got 15 left. So I've done real well with it. And I found a picture of him today I didn't even know I had. Because I was just buying by the dozens.
Yeah. So how did you amass all the material?
Well, we bought it in 46 different states, 2 foreign countries.
So you go on buying trips?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Every trip we took was a buying trip. That way you can take it off your taxes.
What did you drive?
What did I drive?
Yeah.
As many new cars as I could. But we would take a 3-seater suitcase, put a 2-seater inside it, and 1-seater inside of that, and they're empty.
Yep.
But when we came back, they were full.
Uh-huh.
Can't do that now because they charge you by weight. We didn't have that problem. And we decided when we got married that we would travel while we were young. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
Somebody said, well, did you ever go to an auction? I said, never more than 3 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 at night. Now I can't do it because my body won't. Now I can go that many times.
Yeah. So you say that 9/11 was really hurt business here.
It just killed it.
Yeah.
The government did it because you could get a visa in 6 weeks. Now it takes 6 months. Price has gone up. They tell me that it costs them $25,000 to come over and visit.
Really?
166. That's what the Australians tell me.
Really?
I don't know. They rent a car, and they come through in big vans, big buses. Had a grandfather and their daughter and the kids, the whole smear, I don't know, 7 or 8 people. And they stopped down here. And the kids played on the porch with their puppets. But when they got to California, they all voted that this was the best stop they'd ever had on the whole road. But some people just in and out, and other people are looking for things and getting an education. I got an education from all the people that came in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff, I don't know. I have stuff that I have no idea what they are.
Yeah.
And I show them to people, and this lady from Colorado came back the next day and she said, I'm going to buy them. I said, what is it? She said, I don't know, but I'm going to buy them. So I've got, and I keep it up there just showing people.
Yeah.
And one man came in and he said, see that little Ford truck up there, that little toy? I said, he said, you don't have a price sign. I said, well, I got a magic marker. What should I have? He said 3 times what you got on. And then I said, why? Why is that stupid little truck worth that much money? He said, because it has a grill on it. This is 1946 Ford, and nobody has a grill for it. I said, thank you. 15 minutes later, a kid walked in and said, what do you take for that grill? And I said, same as price for the truck. He said, I don't want the truck. I said, I don't need it. He bought it. I tripled my money in 15 minutes by listening
You listen
to people.
Yeah. So what does Route 66 mean to you now after you've had all these people traveling?
Well, I've never understood the intelligence of people that started this. Eisenhower did all the I-44s,
Right.
I-70s, and all that
Interstates,
because he was impressed by what Germany had done. We have friends that live in North Missouri, and they had mud. We don't have mud down there, we have rocks. But it's amazing what that concept of Route 66 is. And all these foreign countries have Route 66 associations. I looked out on the front porch, I was washing the window, which is an unusual thing for me. And shoot, there was a thing out there from Dutch Route 66 Association on the outside of my window. They put it up there when I wasn't
They
here.
slapped it up there?
And it's still up there. And it says, "We love this place." And I'm going, they've got stickers stuck in on my furniture here. But they are really interested in Route 66. I say, why? Because it's nostalgia. It's love stories. A couple from Germany came in and they sold their house to come over here. Well, you know, my first question was, what are you going to do when you get home? I didn't ask it, but I'm going, you sell your home to come to Route 66? And with 45 different foreign countries last year, we're still getting our share of the business.
Yeah. Are people generally, is Route 66 what they thought it was going to be?
Well, I don't know. I'm a psychologist, so I don't ask too many questions. But this one couple came in and they said, we're not getting stories. People just say hello, goodbye. So I thought, well, shoot, I can tell stories. And so they come in here and they may spend 2 hours in here and talking. And I learned so much from them. And I can't understand the British because the accent.
Because they're speaking English.
I'm understanding Australians much better than I do British. I don't understand this, but anyway, whatever. And we have them from New Zealand, we have them from everywhere. Now, you can go look at the book, and it's, you know, all these names, I'm going, I don't even know where those places are. So I keep a world atlas up here, and we look at it. We're from Sardinia. You know where Sardinia is?
It's in the Mediterranean. It's
Yes.
an island in the Mediterranean.
And if you were in World War II, you knew that it was important because we put out false information that we were going to invade Sardinia. We went to Sicily instead.
Oh.
So Italy came over and guarded Sardinia, and we went down below. Oh, okay. And Slovenia, you know. Okay, that used to be part of Yugoslavia. And we look at the maps and we figure out all this stuff. And they're educating me.
But it's a worldwide draw. Everybody in the world wants to do Route 66.
Yes. And they want to be a part of their association because they belong to their country, and they take associations in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, and it's a concept that's beyond me. I'm not that smart.
So after 9/11, business dropped off quite a bit.
76% one day.
Yeah. It never came back, or slowly, or
And somebody came through the other day and they said they spent 3 hours trying to get through Springfield on the road signs. I said, I just take I-44 and go by in 10 minutes because Springfield is getting more business now. But it's just a local situation. It's not a national situation.
yeah.
And if you don't know where you're going, I would get lost. Because the road signs, we paid, I think it was $85 each for the road signs. And they stole 50 of them. And the road department came in and said, is anybody trying to sell you? I said, well, they won't sell it here. They stole them here. They found them in Tulsa. And so now they've gone on to this byway sign because of the federal program. So we don't even, they took all of our historic signs down and just, they're gone.
They're all gone.
We paid for them, but
they're all gone now. More Asians coming through the Route 66?
well, we're getting a lot of Chinese. But it may be a unique situation for me. I don't know. If this little girl comes in and says, everybody all over the world knows who you are. I'm sending all my friends over here. I said, yeah, I know. I had 14 Chinese in here the other day at one time. And I had 11 in here from at one time, and only one spoke English. She was from Chicago. She was Chinese, but I think she organized the tour. We've got people that have set up tours for 2 and 3 years in a row. People from Belgium comes in here twice a year, and he wanted to go upstairs, and I said, "It was just junk up there." And he said, "I want to see the architecture." I said, "Okay." Because I haven't been up there, I have no idea what's up there. Dead birds. But it's a world situation. China only has 3% with money, right? 97% of the Chinese have no money. I run Vermeer Balers, which is, and in my magazine it showed the Northeast 4 groups of Chinese with big Vermeer Balers that were baling cornstalks to cut down on pollution. Because China and the United States are the biggest polluters in the world. And I'm going, I've had a Vermeer baler since 1974. And everybody else had them here, but now they've all gone to John Deere or New Holland. I still have my, I just go buy the Vermeer. I don't buy anything else. They're much cheaper. That green paint doesn't mean anything to me. But I don't know how many Vermeer balers I've had. But they'll last 10 or 11 years. I figure it's a good investment.
Yeah.
Bought a new one last year.
Yeah.
It's all modern, sensors on it.
Computerized.
Beeps at you. So the boys had everything done except 4 or 5 acres. I went over there to bale. I got the bale baled, and it beep, 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 which meant that it quit winding the twine. But I couldn't figure out how to get the dumb bale out of the machine. So I'm back there reading the book. My grandson said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to figure out how to get this bale out." I said, "All said something about up is down and down is up. That means hydraulic. I have to push this lever. It's not automatic."
Oh.
But it kicks the bale out.
Oh.
And you don't have to back up. You don't have to do this.
Well, there you go.
Fast.
You mentioned that the buying patterns have changed over the years. So how have they changed?
Well, what they used to buy, they don't buy.
Oh, what did they used to buy?
Oh, dishes and plates, and
Oh.
I've got 100 plates on the walls.
No.
They don't buy them. One lady came in from Ohio, and she said, "I'm looking for such and such kind of dishes." I said, "Well, I think I've got a set of 6. And she said, "Well, I never buy more than 1. And people have changed.
Yeah. They don't want dishes anymore.
Well, they don't buy dishes.
Yeah.
Now, when you get a collector of fruit jars, he will throw the pattern completely out of stock. I had a guy from Iowa. He saw 2 fruit jars. He said, "Are those for sale?" I said, "Yep." He came back there and bought the good ones. I mean, he knew what he was doing. Because I had a book, showed everything. I don't have a box big enough to put those fruit jars. But I've got a box back here that's got plastic that was made in New York City in 1975. I just dumped everything. And his wife stood up there and wrapped every fruit jar. I didn't have to wrap it. And within 3 or 4 weeks, I had to replenish my fruit jars 3 times. A girl came by and bought almost as many as he did.
Really?
And we just go in the back, bring out more fruit jars. But we've got pretty well everything on the shelves now. We've got the back cleaned out.
Yeah.
So we're making progress
Yeah. Okay.
to where we can close down.
Yeah. Is December typically a good month for you?
Because most people do not buy antiques as presents. Now you'll have a few. And of course the weather is cold and you're using more gas and and since there's so much publicity right now on us,
Yeah.
we're having more people in
Yeah.
than normal.
Yeah.
And some of them are buying good. A guy from Texas bought 5 or 6 high high-end deals, and I don't have a lot of them. And he said, I'll give you $100 for that frame up there. I said, so? I think it was priced at $250 or something.
Yeah.
But I knew that I had put a print in there that didn't belong in that frame. So I got rid of the frame.
Uh-huh.
$100.
Yeah. So what do you plan to do?
Well, we've got 100 cows,
Yeah.
and we have crossbreeding, and so
Yeah.
it'll keep me busy.
Keep you busy.
Number 100 is an old, ugly cow. I tell you, her head is that long. Straight sides, just, I mean, there's no swell to her at all. She's long. She turned around the other day, and I said, good gracious, she's pregnant. She was dilated, her udder was filled out, her sides were just flat as pancakes. That baby was laying in there long. That was on Friday morning, she delivered Saturday morning.
Really?
I think she was pregnant. And that baby was a black, white face heifer. And it's just running around it, sucking. And they just suck just a little bit and then go on.
Uh-huh.
And it's really growing. And, I'll get an extra 100 pounds of weight on that calf.
Mm-hmm.
If it was all the Longhorn variety.
Yeah.
And we're improving on color. We're getting more color. But you still get some that the auctioneer said, oh, this is a Holstein. No, it's a Longhorn.
Do you have anybody who's visited the store that was really memorable? Any famous people visit?
Well, probably a lot. But I don't remember them because they're only in here like 20 minutes. And the next person takes over and I'm sorry. I'm deaf in this ear. I'm hard of hearing in this ear. And if they walk away, I can't read their lips. So I have trouble. But we've kept 15 different books in 30 years, and we can go back. And what I haven't burned, I can still go back and find their names.
Mm-hmm.
And they will find their neighbors' names, and they'll find all that stuff in the books. And it seems to be a good technique for them to feel like that. I tell them, sign in, because when the police comes to look for you, they'll have your signature.
So they feel like they belong or something once they sign it.
And they feel like that we are appreciative of it. The little Chinese girls just come in with a big smile on their face. And Patty said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I smile back at them. And they took pictures the other day with a little Polaroid that I've never seen in such a small Polaroid camera. And one little Chinese girl had her eyes closed, and then they took another picture. So they left the one with her eyes closed with me. I just, and I never know what's going to happen. And in some ways, that's good, because you're always on your toes a little better.
Yeah. Every day is different.
Every day is different. And the kids used to say, Mr. White, you wouldn't allow us to do this today or yesterday. And I said, I feel different today than I did yesterday. And they would try to pull all kinds of tricks on me, which kids do.
Right.
And one boy who became a dentist, I think he called from New Mexico. He said, we met at school and we were talking about how you helped us. And I said, well, you know. He said, I hope all the kids call you. I said, I hope they don't, because I won't have anything, time to do anything to answer the phone. You teach 31 years with 500 different kids a day. And of course, some of them, they would misbehave. I said, if you do that one more time, I'm going to send you to the principal. I saw him grin. I said the wrong thing. So pretty soon he did the same thing again. I said, change my mind, I'm just going to kill you. I said, you set a record last year and you're trying to beat your record. That's my wife's personality books. and she recorded the oral history of Route
Yeah.
66 of these people.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of requests for it,
Uh-huh.
from Kansas City, wherever they're.
Yeah.
And she was a writer. I was an editor. The guy from Cincinnati taught me how to edit. He didn't teach me how to write. I'm not very good at this stuff.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of repeat visitors,
Yes.
even from overseas?
Yes. And we even have people locally. Somebody came in and said, "Do you have anybody ever from Halltown?" I said, "Right there." They said, "Two kids came in here, they wrote their names down." But one man was 66 years old, and he wanted to come on 66, and he had planned it for several years, and he brought his son with him. And one couple, they'll tell you stories. Shoot, I can't keep the story straight with the faces. It's for many of them, a once in a lifetime experience. And not for the others. They'll be back in 4 or 5 years, or 5 or 6 years. And last year, I kept getting so many people from Eastern Canada. And I said, "Did they put an advertising campaign on up there?" No. He said, "We've been planning this for 12 years. I said, "Okay."
Word of mouth?
I guess. But some of them have to save money to be able to, and others have money. I had a showcase over there, and I hadn't opened it for months. And this lady from China wanted it in. Well, the key wouldn't work, and I was embarrassed, and I couldn't get the key to work. And she bought 5 high-priced dishes out of that thing. Most of them were. A little Chinese girl bought a Fostoria pitcher the other day for $45. That's a little high end for us, because we deal with cheap stuff. That's all I want. Junk.
Yeah, so you figured out over 31 years what people want and what they don't want. And
People change. Shoot. They wash their faces. I don't know who they are. Oh, what a mess.
so tell us about this building. When was it built?
Built in 1900. And the old town was down here by the creek. And I'm sure they got flooded out. So George came up here and built this, and he paid for this. And the lodge paid for the upstairs.
Okay.
Over there was the grocery store. They had a pot-bellied stove right there. And then up in the front was the post office, where that board is on the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
And we had our little lock boxes where we could come in and get our mail. When they moved it down to the double wide, well, we got to buy our lockbox fronts. And then they added the feed room on and the storage room back here and the restroom.
Yeah.
This lady called the other day and she said, "We've got 17 cars in our tour. We're looking for a public restroom." I said, "And if you put this on the thing, well, then she'll know that I lied to her. I have a private room. It has a door on it."
Oh.
What's the tax rate?
What?
Tax rate.
Oh, that little sheet, it's 05350. They changed, they lowered it. We paid off the judicial building, so we don't have to collect as much tax rate. And it should be on that chart unless they're above $40, and then you have to punch it into the calculator. They called her yesterday when I went to the hospital, and her husband brought her down here from St. Louis to take care of me. Since I only have one child.
Yeah.
Yes, General. Whatever you say, General.
Well, I don't want to keep you from your business.
Well, I'm enjoying sitting down.
Okay. So the building started off as a grocery, and then post office in front.
Yeah. And I don't know how many different people ran it, but my great aunts and uncles, I think 3 of them ran it. And so we've got a picture up here on the cookbook of this building in 1910. And my great uncle ran it, and he was 92 or 93. And I had a seat out on the porch, and he'd have his cane, and he'd tell me all these stories. And I said, well, I don't understand. They've cut the, he said, they thought they were too close to the road, so they cut the header back. And I said, well, I knew, I could see there the headers were all cut. And that front porch has not been painted since 1926.
Really?
And you can see where the old thing, and then...
Yeah. So that's the original, that's 26, huh?
Yeah.
Like 90 years old.
Yeah. Of course, the building was built in 1900.
Yeah.
So it had a history before Route 66. I remember the old Model Ts coming up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much truck traffic back in
Oh,
there?
yes. Semis, everything.
Yeah.
And of course, they all stopped at the ham, honey, and hot biscuits sign.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. I drove through here. And I was going,
So gas stations, grocery store,
restaurants.
cafe. Yeah.
And of course, they'll tell all of the bordello stories
There was a bordello?
where they were planning all the bootlegging down here in one place.
Here in town?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
So they passed a law that you could not sell liquor in Halltown. So they have to go over across the interstate to get the liquor.
Wow.
We just laugh because we're old enough to remember all this stuff.
Slowed them down a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever travel on 66 much?
Well, we've traveled. We were teaching in Kansas City. I was on my 2nd year. And so Christmas vacation, we came down and went all the way to California. Mm-hmm. And every town I came to, I stopped and applied for a job. I came to the Zuni Indian Reservation, I pulled in, applied for a job. I got back to Kansas City. The assistant superintendent was sitting in my classroom. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, we're just now coming back from Christmas vacation." He said, "We've got paper on you from all over the Southwest United States." I said, "Well, I'm checking to see if they got a better job than you've got for me. I don't see anything wrong with that." I knew that the university was going to come in and move me. So the next year, here comes the university. He said, "We want you to go get an assistant superintendent job." And I'm going, "I'm a speech teacher." Of course, I had all this certification. And I had started in graduate school my first semester, and I did intelligence testing because we had never had it at Mount Vernon. We did. And I did that paper 5 semesters. Every year every semester I would update it. So I was supposed to be getting my master's in speech and English and all that. And that was my advisor. And she said, "You have to do something that you've done this semester." And I said, "I've done one every semester I've been here, just the same one. I just updated it." So I turned it in and she rejected it. I said, "Why did you reject my paper?" "Well, you didn't do it according to Camel." I said, "Okay, English does according to Camel. Psychology doesn't do it according to Camel." I had not taken introduction to graduate study, so Dr. Nutt only taught it in the fall. And I came in here in January because Thelma had to have spinal surgery. And we had to send our baby to Indiana, and we went to Western Kansas. That was traumatic for us. And so I convinced her that I did it according to psychology, and she accepted it, so it's on file. Of course, I had 6 majors.
Yeah.
In my master's. I was into this Kansas Folklore Society,
Oh, yeah.
and I had a whole building full of stuff given to us, and on a Friday, and it flooded Saturday night, and I lost every bit of it. It went out the windows in that house. A guy got killed in one town up 7 miles up from us.
Yeah.
I had bought a house up on top of the hill, and all of our friends had to come up to our house because their houses were 18, 20 inches deep in water.
What year was that?
50, 56, 57,
56, 57.
somewhere like that.
Do you have any weather problems here? Any tornadoes or anything? Or?
Always the tornado alley was over by Ash Grove, but they've moved. And my barn and house was built in 1880, and it's put together with wooden pegs. Beat one tree, there's no joints in it. One tree, you know, it had to have 3 wagons under it to haul that tree. And it came up and went over the top of the barn and went down, missed the house and the barn. Took those hedge trees and just twisted them all to pieces. And somebody said, I said, hey, you can look at the line. It went right over the top of my barn. Took a piece of roofing off, you know. With,
Yeah, but no major damage.
I don't like storms. I don't like electrical storms. Dr. Fry and some kind of a competition over at Drury tried to get me to be a meteorologist. I said, I don't like science. He said, well, you're making straight A's. And I said, it's easy, I just don't like it. I'd hear him in there talking at noon hour, investing his money in the stock market, because he was an expert in glass and all that stuff. Oh. And he still, when he died, he had an office. Professor Emeritus. He was just trying to get me. I said, no. I'm interested more in the mind and the psychology and the sociology. And they tried to get me to be a social director for a county in Kansas, and I'm going, I got one more semester of graduate school. They're going to make me 150 miles away from school. I'm going, I was taught to finish what you start. They just couldn't understand me at all. But I knew I had enough money to get through the next semester. And from then on, I didn't know. And I did my graduate study in teacher education. I was certified both Kansas and Missouri. Never did teach in Kansas except practice teaching. My practice teaching was not done according to oil. And I asked my advisor, I said, have you ever had anybody do you this way? And he said, no. I said, well, would you listen to my proposal and see if we could salvage something out of this? Because I started teaching the second day I got into school. 5
Solo?
classes. Yes. And I'm going, good gracious, I've got to do all this preparation tonight. And the supervising teacher didn't even stay in the room. So I'm finished in 2 weeks. I've got 4 more weeks in school. So I visited every class, which I got a better concept of what a school was. That was the cheapest bunch of kids I ever met in my life. And the teachers, I sat in the back, I observed the teachers never did know they were teaching. They were cheating just like, oh, I only made 95 today, and I'm going, you didn't make 50. I saw you changing the answers. Oh. So I was teaching family living since I knew I was a minister. So I was, and we had 2 girls and myself. And she gave them a test in her home ec. They all made 100. I said, they cheated. I said, where did you run your test on? The teacher's lounge. What'd you do with the back sheet? Threw it in the waistbag. I said, that's what you got. And the boy that was cleaning the teacher's lounge, run up. I said, don't tell him that But you know, act ignorant. She was the sweetest girl you ever wanted to meet. I'm an old married man in this class. We ate all of the food that they cooked all day long, the last period of the day. So she wrote up another test, and I carried a big briefcase with me. Nothing ever stayed at school. And she wrote a test, and she told me, she said, I've just decided to give another test. Never did tell them why. But we had a good time.
Yeah.
I got to go on agriculture trips that I had never gone to in Mount Vernon. I went with the band and the choir. I went into shop and made my wife a knife holder for her Valentine's Day present.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Vernon said that if you took shop, you had to take 2 periods for 1 credit. I said, well, I'm dumb, but I'm not stupid. So I never would take any of those classes. I had no agriculture. When I got through 3 years of high school and went to college, I didn't know squat, except books.
Well, we're going to have to wrap up. I was just seeing, I'm about out of battery.
We do that.
Well, thank you very much.